All application screens have some combination of something called CRUD, C-R-U-D. It stands for create, read, update, and delete. So you can think of applications that have a screen where you can do all of them. Some applications limit the user where they can only update or they can maybe only read data. Besides the CRUD features of an application, there's often other things that we refer to as business rules. For example, if I go out to Ameritrade and I want to place a trade, there's certainly some CRUD there, right? I fill in some fields and it gets inserted into a database table, but there's all kinds of rules that have to be followed so I don't, ask too little or ask too much or try to buy more stock than what I have in my balance. All of these things are business rules. So how are we going to add business rules to our application? Well, one thing we want to do, or one thing we don't want to do, is rewrite it multiple times. Because if you build a large application and all the business rules are written multiple times, it takes twice as long to build it. And then when you do maintenance, it becomes a nightmare, and eventually someone will change one piece but not another. So we want to build the business rules in one place and use them throughout the application. It also can be beneficial to do it this way if someday we want to update our user interface, we don't have business logic embedded inside the user interface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build something called Turtle Tracker Business Rules. So the first thing I did is I went to File, New Project, and I selected Java Class Library. So this is kind of an application, but it doesn't really run on its own. It's just a collection of classes. And once it got created, I created a source package folder by right-clicking on source package and going to new folder called validation rules. Now, based on the size of my application, I might have folders and subfolders to organize the business rules. In incredibly large applications, I might even have separate class projects for all of my business rules. But in some way, you want to try to organize them in some logical fashion. And then inside there, I did a right click and said new, and I navigated and found Java class. So I created just a basic Java class called Turtle Specimen Rules. And once again, between the folders, the project, and the class, you can really organize if you have a large set of business rules. So here's my business rule. It's impossible for the weight of a turtle to be double its length. So if you have a turtle who's 5 inches long, it cannot weigh more than 10 pounds. It's just not possible because the length of the turtle is like a dome, and you do some math and you can figure out that it's impossible for a turtle's weight to be more than double its length. So if someone enters that, I know they made a mistake. They weighed it wrong, they measured it wrong, something's going on. And I don't want bad data in my database. So I made a method, and it's called test weight length, and it accepts 2 parameters, an integer weight and an integer length. And I did have to put at the end throws exception, because I'm going to create an exception. And in Java, if you throw an exception, you must catch it right away. Or if you want it to propagate up to whoever called the method, your method must extend with throws exception. And then I simply said, if length times 2 is less than weight, then throw a new exception and put the message in, weight cannot be double length. And that's it. And then I built this project, and it takes a second, and it will make a jar file that I can use in my desktop and web and implement this business rule.